one more heat to go in the AWT bracket, which is going to determine the last two places. Flags down in 2 seconds with a 60-minute heat. That's a mark. And in this heat is Casey Hauser, F.Beaux, M.Motohasgi, and S.Haywood. And this is for all the marbles, guys. This is to get into the big dance. This is a pressure heat. All right, that is a non-competitor in the lineup. We have no scores yet. It looks like S.Haywood is setting up on H.Poco Point, and he is edging into what is going to be the first wave ride of this critical penultimate heat here. Skylar's now getting enough momentum to head upwind to H.Poco as he sizes this opportunity up. This is a nice wave. S.Haywood drops in at H.Poco Point. It sets up for him. The lip really throws as he hits it, and he comes down, and the wind just didn't really help him out on that. And he gets a wake-up call. Meanwhile, Casey Hauser on the next wave of this 4-wave set, a little smaller but a little cleaner and a little deeper. Casey Hauser goes straight up the lip, gets a good check turn. He's going to take this home for a score. Casey knows he needs to get points. He can impress his friends later. This is about scoring points. And Casey does just that. That's a mid-level score. I don't think it's going to be a huge score. I don't think it's going to be something that might not make a difference later. We have plenty of time. There's 14.5 minutes left in this heat. Let me catch my breath because this is going to be a long day, you guys, and we have the best sailors in the world here, hands down, pitted against each other. The top Mokipa locals, for the most part. There were a few exceptions that did not make it through the trials without naming names. I'm not going to tell you that all the best sailors from Mokipa made it through those trials. That would not be accurate. And any one of those guys could be taking out some of these names right now, but that is hindsight because these are the guys that are fighting for that right. And setting up for his first score is F.Beaux, a seasoned competitor in his own right, and he knows exactly where he is in this. He's got a good scoring opportunity as he fades left and really gets his North Shore Oahu spirits there to work because he comes up under this lip with what looks like a pretty good opportunity to connect this towards this section. And he's gotten some distance on it in a nice aerial, and that's just a halfway decent way to start the heat. I think that had a little more flow than Hauser's wave, just by a tad. Also, maybe a little bit of a longer wave ride. So F.Beaux opens up the scoring solidly. He did so with 3 minutes in the heat. And we will get back to you in a second here. Is what I'll get. Do you have them? I don't have any.
When we slot in the winners, there is a little
All right, setting up on the point, M.Motohasgi, our main man from Japan. And he's going to get this wave, but it's going to be a bit of a fight, and he's going to lose some position before he actually gets in. All right, Masa, well done to get up under the peak here. This is his opening ride, and this is a really nice wave, actually. This one sets up in between Gritays and the point. So as the judges take note, this is M.Motohasgi streaking down the line on a clean Mokipa wave. He gets under it, and he throws a really nice cutback. Plenty of spray off of that. This wave's going to offer him a little more, one more little hack there. Masa with a good scoring chance. You wonder if he had gotten into that wave just a hair earlier, if he had had more chance to score on that. Well, our luck continues here at the 2013 JP Aloha Classic because we've got stellar conditions here at Mokipa. Really setting up nicely at the point. This is a day that ought already be 40 people out. But right now there's only 4, and Casey Hauser sets up for his second scoring wave off the bottom, right at the peak, and now he's going to take a trip down to the point. If he's going to get a ramp opportunity, that's it. Casey gets a stock air off of that and one more hit to finish his scoring there. Outside, S.Haywood. As the wave starts to form down towards the point, he kind of loses the ability to hit the lip square, but he does make the wave with the secondary hit there. You can tell these guys are making sure they get solid first scores before they really turn it loose. I haven't seen somebody get really, really loose off the lip yet. They're all getting their scores, and now everybody's pretty solidly on the board because Skylar's first wave wasn't a huge score, and I'm not going to say his second wave was a huge score, but it's a score. So everybody's solidly on the board here, one form or another. At this point, with 10 minutes and change left to go in the heat, it's important to consider that any lull in the swell doesn't necessarily mean that there is a set coming. This has been a pretty sporadic swell situation. I know in my warm-up, it was pretty hit or miss. The sets came, they were definitely good size and plenty of waves in them. And when they didn't, it looked like this. This is in between. You see F.Beaux now taking his strategy on the outside. He's going to fish out any sort of big wave that comes in. Unfortunately, there's really nothing coming in under Fabrice's nose. Now Skylar's in a position, but the wind's not cooperating. So what's happening now is that you see these gusts are filtering through the lineup. And you also see the waves are kind of filtering through, and they're not really working together at the moment. The wind's on the inside, the waves are on the outside. And that's what'll keep it for you. And we'll take it every time. S.Haywood now has decided, wisely so, to select this wave up in the middle section of the point. He's on upper point here, and this wave's going to take him all the way through. So after a left fade, really classy, this classic Hawaiian wave sets up for S.Haywood. And he makes it down to the point, still trying to be safe and make the whole wave. Might have dodged a hit there, gets the second section hit, and one more to boot. So S.Haywood now with his best scoring wave ride of the heat for sure. He takes it outside. That was a wise move for Skylar because he kind of needed that. Right now, that's his backup score if he can get a really main score there. Right now, I've got 2 scores for Hauser and a couple for Skylar, Beaux and M.Motohasgi. I'm not really seeing a ton of scores. But as soon as I say that, Beaux gets rewarded for his critical positioning because he's behind the peak on the set of the heat so far. And Beaux not going to let this scoring opportunity go to waste. No, sir. He's going to get right in there at the upper part of the point, gets under it with his RRD board and nil pride sail, and now he guns it for the point. And he gets rewarded with a fins out aerial. Not quite as big as what he was doing last year, but still quite a nice one. Meanwhile, upwind, Casey Hauser does the S-turn fade to get back upwind of this peak. And he launches into his wave ride with a stylish bottom turn and a good hack on his single fin board. He gets under the lip, but the lip again denies him and denies his chance to really get a score on that wave. Casey let that wave shut down in front of him. Might have been a line to get under the lip. Might not have been. Maybe he just took off too deep on it. Regardless, what looked like was going to be a high score for Hauser becomes a mid score. Although it is his 3rd score. Well, F.Beaux did well for himself. That was a good wave ride for him. And I think that in some respects, he's taken command to a degree. To a degree. That's opinionated, and I'll stay away from that. However, what you see, most importantly, if you remember the criteria for this heat, 3 people are making it through. That's the bottom line. You got to pick 3 guys from this lot. Masa eases into this mid-size, really lined up point wave, but I think he realized it was already halfway done breaking, and why bother? And I'm not going to really say that that was a bad decision. That wave kind of did peter off and would have wasted valuable time for him. Speaking of time, there's 6 minutes and 45 seconds left in this heat. And it's definitely been full of some good waves coming in. Not everybody in position for him, however. I think it's really favored the guys who are playing it patiently. S.Haywood, kind of midsection, pumps to get on this groundswell. He eyes what looks like a really nice lineup towards green tree rights. And it's not really traditional green tree rights today. The swell's a little more west, so you don't quite get all the way up there, and these waves end up being kind of end-bowl sets. But regardless, he draws a good line on it, and he gets under the lip for what is a stock air, kind of a slidey air. Gets his 3rd turn. This wave did a lot of the work for Skylar. He just rode it the way that it was asking it to be ridden. And Skyler, arguably with his best score there, I think. That was a good wave ride, and it was a good wave. Just as much as a good wave ride. Skyler Haywood's had a really good run at this contest. Win, lose, or draw, no matter what happens, he can be proud of how he sailed. All four of these guys can hold their heads high. They made it this far. This is definitely not over yet. With 5.5 minutes left, F.Beaux is in on another nugget, taking command of this heat right here. From behind the peak, F.Beaux finds a pretty safe line to get under that lip and get the floater. Most importantly, to continue making the wave. I think you saw everything in his line there was aimed at making the wave, and that is exactly what F.Beaux just did. He made that whole wave. And he got a couple good slams on it. Might have gotten a little hung up on that floater, but nothing serious. M.Motohasgi, not to be outdone whatsoever, is on a very nice point wave. Traditional H.Beaux point here, down at the point. He gets up and under it, and he bats that lip. That solid lip contact there. Some of the more solid lip contact of the heat by M.Motohasgi, and he runs it down to the point, and he knows that that definitely put him back in contention if he can just dress it up correctly. Meanwhile, outside, Casey Hauser, way on the outside, is definitely setting up a really solid wave ride here. He's got a full head of steam. I think he's trying to read it if it's going to run to the point or not. He gets under it anyway, does kind of an in-front bottom turn to set the wave up its set. He gets it all the way around. Now he's going to get it around closer to the wave. Casey Hauser definitely just put himself really square in the game with that, except he needed to make that. And those are the little things that the judges kind of, they'd give you a little more for if you made it, and you're going to be at the point you were before it happened if you don't. So Casey already had a good wave ride there. He had a couple good turns. I think the judges are going to take that into consideration. I'm looking at that pretty much as his best wave by a fraction. F.Beaux had a really good wave ride. Did he up his? It's up to you to decide. I would say that everybody's improved their situation, naturally. Wow, we have some competitors going out for the next heat, I guess, which is supposedly allowed to do. Alice between one of the judges wisely just, I want to go sail because look at this. F.Beaux has turned around on the set of the day. I mean, this is a solid 4 to 5 foot over Hawaiian wave. And it does not give him anything to work with in terms of fading into it, but it's going to be a great wave at the point. F.Beaux does the dance, sets it up. Now the wave hits traditional H.Beaux, and it rears up kind of like the, you know, the crown of the lip, just throwing right, and come on, hit me, F.Beaux. And F.Beaux obliges to a degree. I think he rode that wave really super safely. Meanwhile, outside, Skyler Haywood, not to be outdone, really needs to get back into this heat and needs to turn on the afterburners here and get some juices flowing. And he's doing the cruisy Skyler thing. And at this point in the heat, I would have said that that needed to be some fireworks. And that's not entirely his fault because the wind definitely took a dive there. All right, 2 minutes and counting in the initial heat of the day, which is actually the final heat of the AWT bracket. And it's between Casey Hauser, F.Beaux, Motohasgi, and Skyler Haywood. And everybody's gotten good scores. It's been, you know, some guys are getting more waves than others, but this is about 2 wave rides and the 2 top scoring wave rides, and that's the only thing you need to know. Nothing else counts except your top 2 waves. It's not how many waves you ride. It's not how many turns you do. It's how high you score on your 2 waves. And the judges are in charge of that scoring. We are the opinionated observers, and we just need to have an idea about what we're going to do after each heat's done. We're going to have 2 winners. In this case, 3. We got 1:20 left in this heat, but in some ways, it's effectively closing down. The only person in a position right now to do anything about his chances is Hauser, who is somehow going to manufacture a scoring chance on this wave. He's like, I don't have much more time, and there's nothing behind me. I've got to go do this. And Hauser's riding it, He gets a little side swipe bottom turn. He's going to get under the inside. He is throwing more, and he does get a proper aerial there, but he doesn't make it aerial, excuse me. All right, we're in business. Got 30 seconds left in this heat. I think the judges have a pretty good beat on what the scoring is. Is anybody going to be able to add to their scores? That's the question. If anybody, it's going to be Masahiro Motohasgi on this next ripple. As I count 19 seconds, everybody's basically done what they had to do here. Get a couple rides. And presumably, we will have the 3 sailors that are going to advance into the main bracket here shortly. This heat is over, guys. 3, 2, 1, done. And don't let my watch bug you, but that's it. And we're ready for heat 1.